All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a really powerful daily devotional called The Fortress of Presence, Finding Refuge in God. This text is actually based on a daily bread reading of Psalm 46, and it's completely geared toward helping us find some much-needed stability when life just feels entirely overwhelming. We're going to break down its core lessons right now and trace exactly how it guides us from a place of panic to a place of peace.
So let's kick things off by confronting a reality that the source text brings up right in its introduction. Do you ever feel like your world is just shaking? Between uncertainty, fear, and just the sheer weight of everyday challenges, our sense of stability can take a massive hit. It is incredibly common to feel like we're just out there facing life totally alone when those high-stress moments hit. But as we'll see, the text completely challenges that feeling of isolation.
And to counter that sense of chaos, the material points us toward a place of absolute safety in Lesson 1. God is our refuge. Now, what's really fascinating here is how the text actually defines a refuge. It definitely doesn't frame God as some abstract, distant concept or a far-off idea that's disconnected from our reality. Instead, it describes him as an immediate, ever-present safe place and a direct source of strength. The devotional makes this incredible point that even if the earth literally gives way or the mountains actually fall into the sea, there is zero reason to fear because God himself is that ever-present help right in the middle of the trouble.
This sets up a really vital contrast that the author leans into. Think about it. We are constantly looking for security in fundamentally unstable things, right? We put our trust in constantly shifting circumstances, in other people, or in our perfectly crafted 5-year plans. But the reality is, all of those things can change in an absolute instant. When you compare those unstable things to the steady, unchanging nature of God, it's night and day. When everything else feels completely chaotic and up in the air, recognizing that God is our refuge offers this profound, grounding sense of peace.
Which naturally flows right into our next point. Lesson 2, the power of presence, shifting our focus to the active, protective nature of God.
The devotional highlights a super interesting detail from the scripture here. It points out the direct repetition of this one specific declaration in both verse 7 and verse 11 of Psalm 46. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. The author basically uses this repetition as a steady, reassuring heartbeat throughout the text. It's there to provide this absolute assurance that God is not distant. He is actively protecting and sustaining his people, functioning exactly like an impenetrable fortress.
And guys, this brings us to a massive mindset shift. The text argues that confidence doesn't actually come from having control over your circumstances, because, let's be real, we almost never have full control anyway. Instead, true confidence comes from knowing who is with you. You really don't have to rely on your own exhausted strength or endlessly strive to micromanage every single detail. Just recognizing his presence radically transforms how you tackle your daily challenges, because suddenly, his strength becomes your strength.
So, how do we actually take this ancient wisdom and apply it to our modern-day anxieties? Well, the devotional gives us a clear roadmap and actionable steps for living out the truth.
The source breaks this down into some immediate, practical actions to stop panic in its tracks. First up, instead of treating God like a last resort when everything else fails, turn to him first, the second you feel overwhelmed. In that exact moment, actively remind yourself that he is present, no matter how crazy things look on the outside. Doing that allows you to consciously choose trust over fear, even when your circumstances are still totally up in the air. It's all about intentionally planting yourself inside that steady fortress of God's refuge.
Building right off of that, the text says you have to literally speak truth over your fears. Say it out loud. Declare that you are not alone. Once you do that, you can actually begin to rest in his presence, instead of just spinning your wheels trying to regain control. It's really this combination of steps that ultimately equips you to face whatever challenges in front of you with genuine confidence. You can finally let go of the panic simply because you know for a fact you aren't doing it alone.
All right, let's bring all of these concepts together by looking at how the devotional guides us to wrap things up in our final reflection, finding peace.
The author provides this incredibly grounding prayer to seal these lessons in. It acts as this beautiful daily touchstone. By praying, "Help me to trust in your presence and find peace in who you are," we're actively asking for the grace to remember these truths when life, as it inevitably does, starts feeling overwhelming all over again. It's just a really powerful way to surrender our intense need for control and lean directly on his strength instead. So if you take absolutely nothing else away from this devotional, the entire core message is captured perfectly in this one simple takeaway. God is with you. Do not fear. The text presents this as the ultimate, definitive antidote to our anxiety.
It is the essential summary of Psalm 46 and the absolute bedrock of finding true refuge.
I want to leave you with these reflection questions pulled directly from the source material. Think about it. What specific situations in your life right now are causing you to feel unstable or afraid? And more importantly, based on everything we've just unpacked today, how can you remind yourself daily that God is your refuge and is standing right there with you? Take a little time to identify your own shifting sands and use these lessons to firmly plant your feet back inside the fortress of His presence today.